How did I do?
You did very well.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
All right, so what else can we get into that's exciting? I guess we'll have to get into some stories.
Some stories, yeah.
Well,
Pretty good.
Yeah, we can do stories. I mean, I try to tie everything into what we do. I like to put a nice spin on security. Security is, most people look at security, especially the business people, and they think it's the dreaded evil.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. I mean, security can help businesses in a lot of different ways. And because I came from law enforcement, you know, when you call a police officer to help you, you can't tell the police officer, go away, I'm going to call another police officer.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with that person or people. Well, in our business, you know, we have to provide a service, and they have to like us, and we have to make it cost effective. Now, I can tell you, we will, and I've done it. If we get a call, and let's say somebody has a threat in their business, and we say, look, this is how it should be handled, and we recommend this, this, and this, and they say, well, you know, really, we have to cut some costs, and we don't want to spend that. We said, that's fine. Here's a number to another company that'll do it and take the risk. Our job is to mitigate their risk. And we also at the same time have to mitigate our risk because we have employees that we put out there. Very rarely do we have shootings, but they do occur in this industry with private security officers and also with executive protection agents. Before you go on, when I was a police officer in Richmond, and this is just to show you how bad the government is at times, in Richmond we had an incident where a housing authority, they had an employee they were going to terminate. They had worries about this person. They called the police and said, hey, we'd like to have 2 officers waiting outside, out in the parking lot. And nobody followed any further. Well, when that person came in, they had a backpack, they had a gun in the backpack, they terminated the person, and they let the person walk back to their office without any escort. Came back, they started shooting people. Officers are outside. The only reason the person didn't shoot any more people was that his gun was a semi-automatic. It's stovepiped. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's stovepiped because it was dirty. He threw the gun out the window, and he just stood there and waited for the police to come in and arrest him.
Dude.
So there's...
Well, look what happened. They just got rid of Ralph Barbieri. Ralph Barbieri.
They walked him out.
Yeah, I mean, they literally, you know, because the computer and all that kind of stuff, and just even like an immediate... boom, you know.
Well, and a lot of businesses use security. They use plainclothes security, not necessarily armed, but when they're doing these workplace reduction in forces. So that's a big thing. Unfortunately, now it's been really big the last several years. But there's a lot of different things and stories. I mean, you know, think about I guess it was last year, but back in London, it was broadcast live when the guy for Fox, the owner of Fox, or the chairman, Rupert Murdoch, when he was testifying, what happened? Somebody got into that hearing and attacked him. There was, the Bobbies were there and his private security was there, but they were able to get that close. And what security does in the private sector is we're the added layer of security. We walk, most of your big CEOs, they have a protection detail. They blend in well, and then when they come to areas like this, they supplement that with private security.
When my wife graduated from Mills College, they had Nancy Pelosi and Barbara Lee speaking there. And you look up and on the rooftop, you can see Secret Service agents, and then who knows how many people were in there. But you know, you just wonder, like, you know, when the president goes out and makes a speech, you know, I don't care if he's popular or not, there's going to be some whack jobs out there, and it seems a lot easier to knock somebody off.
Well, we just, like I was telling you last time we met, we just purchased a company in Boston, and we just finalized on Tuesday. Already this week, we're providing protection services for a princess from Saudi Arabia in Washington, D.C. We just got a detail down in Boston, actually, next week. It's the graduation season. They need 40 plainclothes people for that.
How much does it cost?
It varies depending. We try to be efficient and reasonable, but what we're charging is $55 an hour for an officer, $65 for the supervisor, and usually when we put 40 officers out, well, what we call a project manager, one guy who oversees, he's $75 an hour, and then any parking costs. There's some companies out there. You guys, have you ever heard of Kroll?
Yeah,
Kroll's out of New York. They're huge. Okay, and they charge for consulting services sometimes $350, $400 an hour. Okay, investigation. There's huge. Now the guys you see sitting downstairs or standing downstairs, those officers, they're probably anywhere from $18 to $23 an hour, and they're probably paying them $11 or $12 an hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you get to wear a gun.
But Well,
See, but you gotta pay nannies $20 an hour. I don't get that.
And they don't
but
get to
see,
wear
the,
that.
the,
Yeah,
the
right.
difference is you want critical thinkers. When somebody
Yeah.
carries a gun, I don't know, do you guys shoot at all?
I know.
I used to be a police officer.
Okay, so you
Did you really?
Yeah.
You
I didn't know
understand,
that.
when somebody's carrying a gun, it's just not the point of pulling your gun out and shooting. You gotta understand what's behind you, okay? There's other things, but what's
Yeah.
your sight picture? Do you know how to tactically use your gun,
Mm-hmm.
okay? There's a lot of things, and when you put a gun in the hands of a security officer, just a basic security officer, in the state of California, they get what they call BSI training, Bureau of Security Investigative Services. It's a state agency. They get 40 hours of training, 16 hours is a different class for a gun. So,
Jeez.
where were you cop at? Where?
Runner Park,
Okay.
Sonoma County.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. I did. You guys have State Farm up there?
Mm-hmm.
I did. I was out in that parking lot for a month for a workplace violence.
How long,
jeez.
did you work?
I worked there for 14 years.
Really?
Say, you had 14 just like me. What got you out of it?
The private equity business.
Yeah,
It's
I
a little-
retired
it was-
medical. I got
It was more lucrative.
my knee.
Oh yeah, no, I was buying, fixing, and reselling houses in the daytime and working the swing shift.
Yeah, well, heck, maybe he could teach me how to get in this side of the business.
Yeah, that's true.
And then finally, I was making more selling houses than I was working the swing shift.
Well, sure.
So,
Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
yep.
All right. Oh yeah, we'll get into the stories. Okay, ready? Here we go. Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Brian Burke. And when we went to the first commercial break, we asked this first trivia question. In the movie 2001, A Space Odyssey, what was the name of the computer that would say, "Dave, just what do you think you're doing, Dave?" Everyone, what's the answer?
Dave's not here.
I don't have the first clue.
You never,
You
wait,
don't
no
know?
sports, no movies.
Really?
Come on,
Hal.
Hal, very good. All right.
What did HAL stand for?
Oh,
Was it an acronym for something? I don't know.
yes, it
Sure,
probably was. Well,
yeah.
we'll think about that at break time.
Is that part of the question?
Yeah. And Mitchell, you were
Yes.
talking about being you own a security company. Give us some fun stories on radio here.
Well, one of the things about private security is you don't want any fun stories, but I have a few. If you have fun stories, usually you're not going to have many clients. So your job isn't to make your job is to make sure that your clients in whatever you're doing are not put in compromising positions, whether it's protecting a CEO or if it's protecting their property, any of those things. I mean, you don't want to have a security guard standing outside of a building at night or inside a building and the suspects are coming through the roof stealing everything while he's there. That's kind of embarrassing.
That's kind of
Or
bad.
like the Seinfeld episode where George gets the guy a chair.
Yes.
Remember, he sleeps in the chair
Yeah.
while the. There you go.
And that actually, believe it or not, we do use that example because we have some clients, because when you put somebody on site with a client, they usually develop a bond. They try to take care of the person and make their environment as comfortable as possible. And we always have clients calling us about, well, can they sit down? And we are always telling them, no.
No, you give them the most uncomfortable
Yeah.
shoes so that
Yeah.
they have to keep walking around.
One of the things is, and when you're in law enforcement, first thing that happens when you're in training session, you're watching a video, you sit down and your eyes close. That's usually how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it goes in the private sector also with our guards. So we always tell them no, but the client always insists. So, but as far as funny stories go, we've had a few instances. Like I said, I recall one over in the city. We were doing a protection job, and it was a number of agents. It was a model who was very popular, beautiful lady, and she married another actor. And a gentleman by the name of Bono came to the front door, and I was running the detail. And the job was nobody could get into the reception unless they were on the list. If you weren't on the list, you basically were staying out. Well, this gentleman, Bono, comes up, and the officer, he comes up and says, "I'd like to go in." And the officer, basically the security agent, goes, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Bono." And he goes, "Well, who's Bono?" So,
Bono, something about that, right?
no.
No.
Well, yeah, and so he goes, well, he looked on the list. He says, I have no Bono, sir. So he said, if you mind standing over to the side, we'll see.
Yeah.
So here we have Bono, who, I don't know much about Bono either, but we've got him standing over to the side.
Biggest rock star in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes to the White House occasionally,
all right.
and so he's over there on the side. So we worked it out. And what was funny is we're trying to work this out. I come home, we're trying. I can't remember the actor's name. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Is it Van Diesel?
Vin Diesel.
He comes walking over and says, "Hey, what's going on, Bono?" And it's like, oh, we're kind of figuring this guy is somebody big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't matter if the guy's not on the list. It's like when I go into the bank. If I see a new teller and they ask me, "Sorry, sir, can I see your ID?" I actually thank them because listen, I don't care. You have to keep showing who I am if that's the rules.
Well, and that's the thing about security. Security is an inconvenience at times for people because it's rules, and we have to live within those rules.
It's just airport security that's
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that can be at times.
TSA, yeah.
But it's there for a reason. It's there to protect you. And I agree. I've worked on both sides of the fence, and I understand. I'm a citizen also when I go through the airport, but sometimes it gets a little annoying. And there are better ways to do it. And every day,
Especially those pat downs.
yeah, every day
Where
we're
will you go?
every day we're getting better in our security and our approach. I mean, things change drastically. It seems like from year to year.
But sometimes just the fact that you've got a security guy there with a gun, especially, is a deterrent. Just having presence, isn't it?
It is a deterrent at times, but you can put a person out on a post with a gun, and as we were talking off during the break, you can put somebody who's not as trained. So are they really a deterrent, or could they become part of the victim pool? Think about it.
Or are they the ones that just brought the weapon to the crime?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Can I borrow your gun?
So, in our business, we do too, the company that I'm involved in, we do have uniformed guards. We have armed guards. We do investigating. We do consulting. We do surveillance. But when we put somebody out with a gun, we run them through training programs. We make sure that they know how to use the weapon. We like to hire a lot of retired law enforcement people for our high-end jobs. We actually hire private citizens, but they've gone through a lot of different schools. And there's several schools across the country that individuals can go to and get the skill sets necessary to do this kind of work.
Do you hire guys like Jason Statham who can totally kick your butt if they don't like?
Who is that?
That's an actor that does all those movies with a lot of kung fu action.
Oh,
You guys don't watch that
or
TV.
Jet Li. That guy apparently was so fast in the Lethal Weapon movies. They actually had to slow the camera down. He was so.
No, again, like we were talking earlier, it's not the biggest person. It's the most talented person. And usually the most talented people, are just average people. You wouldn't know it. Look at your Navy SEALs. Those guys are just average guys. There's some big guys there too, but they're average guys. And that's the misconception that the public has about security. It's biggest is always the best. Not necessarily.
It's the bouncer.
Yeah.
In movies, the bouncer is always really big.
But every time you see the entertainers, their executive protection are always very, very big. Just coincidentally.
I think part of it too. Again, it's just the impression. I don't want to mess with that big guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but look at dignitaries. Look at the president. When you see the president on television and you see his protection detail,
No, they're just regular looking guys.
nobody sticks out. They
Yeah.
just blend in, and those individuals are highly, highly trained. And that's the level of individuals we have in our company, also in the industry for the most part. Those are the kind of people we draw from, because when they leave after 20, 25 years of service, they bring that expertise into the private security.
Well, of course, because you don't want, like you said, you want it to be boring. You don't want all this, I got the biggest guy, he's going to, beat the crap out of you. It's the smartest guy who can diffuse a situation before it happens.
You definitely want it to be boring. We've had cases where we've come to confrontations. You try to avoid that as at all possible, but it does happen. I know of a couple of one company that they were doing a shareholders meeting, and it became very heated. The company was
contentious. Huh?
Yes. Ended up the CEO got a pie in his face. So and they had protection there. They had agents there, but that happens.
But was it a loaded pie?
I don't know that.
Okay.
So
And Mitchell, how do people get a hold of you for your service? What do you guys specifically charge for your services?
It varies. Again, it depends on what you're asking for. If you're asking for a uniform officer and certain qualifications, it could range anywhere from $17.50 for just a low-end guard, as we call them in our industry, upwards. I mean, I've seen companies across this country, they'll charge $150 an hour for an executive protection agent. But they're highly skilled individuals. You really look at that cost and you shake your head, but when you step into something, you want to make sure the guy next to you or the gal next to you can handle the situation.
Can they do your laundry while they're watching you too? Like you can kind of get two uses out of them? Or?
Well, some of them do, but not in our company.
You guys have a website?
Yes, we do. It's Resolute, RESOLUTESG.com. And you can reach us also at our toll-free number, 877-774-2009. And we provide these services completely across the United States, also globally. And we, like I said to you guys during the break, we just purchased a company in Boston, so we are truly across the United States.
Thanks for joining us in the studio.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right. We are going to cut to our second commercial break, and here is the trivia question. What was the name of the movie in which Clint Eastwood says, and of course, that's being a cop at this point, right? He says, Go ahead. Make my day. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What was the name of the movie in which Clint Eastwood says, Go ahead, make my day?
Do you feel lucky?
Do you feel lucky, punk? Actually,
that's another movie.
That was a different movie.
Right.
That's right.
Every movie had to have its own
This
line.
one is not quite as easy. Okay. Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and remember to speak slowly and spell out your information for us. And I'll tell you.